start the video.
National Murder Women Day.
Did you just start the video with that?
Yes.
I'm glad that's getting cut. The one will cut. Welcome
Why
to.
would you cut something like that?
Because you just started the video with that. Don't be disarmed. We're only here to talk about lots of weaponry. So, welcome.
Yeah, we might not have enough space. In the window on OBS.
Right.
Depends how much ends up in A tier.
We'll see.
I mean, like all of it.
Yeah, if all of it goes there, it might go down, but I don't think that's going to occur.
Well, it is the most recently ranked, I guess. If you go to the last one, but
yeah, I mean, yeah, this is the Gen 3 secondary weapons. These are the most recent additions to the game. Gun-wise, obviously, technically, there'd be grenades, but that's for another time. And this is for this time. I don't know what else we could do. It's pretty self-explanatory.
I'm pretty happy that... Can I just point out, right, obviously, there's this sort of thing where we start, every time we start with range, but then we forget about it for the rest of the video.
Yeah.
I don't want to be honest.
Yeah, it's a pretty important part of all of them, really.
I'm also pretty happy because this is just a lot more interesting than the previous two secondary ones. It's the most interesting, probably, set of weapons so
this
far.
is the real meat and potatoes of the secondary debate.
This is the meat, the potatoes, the seasoning, and the gravy. Yeah,
this is the roast dinner. Really, this is just the whole thing.
Yeah.
Other than the other secondaries like the carrots and broccoli and cabbage and stuff, other assorted vegetables.
I guess I would like say like the shard refractor, probably the potatoes.
I would say
the gravy. No, because like that's the meat and that's the stuffing. Because you can always have different meat or stuffing, but potatoes aren't going to change.
I guess, yeah. We'll go with shard refractor as potatoes. In what form they are is up to you. And I think
shard potatoes.
The shard the potatonator is a good ranged weapon. Let's go with range if you wanted to.
Range.
It's infinite.
Infinite also, and pinpoint. No recoil. 100% accuracy. Infinite range. Actually, like the coil gun and the wave cooker are as well. The coil gun has recoil, but only between reloads.
That's what I'm on about, man. The
coil gun technically is more range because it goes through terrain.
Yeah, but like all these secondaries, I mean, because even in Scout, the crossbow may not be the most ranged thing in the game, but it is for his secondaries, right? Like these were some hella ranged secondaries that everyone got, which is a pretty interesting thing. I don't know. I know it's just now, but it is weird how all of these are like either equally ranged as everything else or the best ranged thing for everyone.
The driller got his best, like his longest range primary in Gen 3 as well.
Oh yeah, I don't know. They just kind of extended range. Although Scout arguably got its worst, but I don't know. Maybe they did like keep an eye on range this time through with like these additions. That would be an interesting thing to find out. Anyway. If we ever do. But yeah, shard refractor, infinite range, can be used at all of them, which is always a good sign. Always a good start when a gun is
a big fucking laser beam. It's also
entirely versatile.
Wow, okay, it is versatile. So it's also a weapon that was really on the cusp of potentially being horrible. As in, I really don't think the shard refractor would have been popular if it had stayed the way it was during experimental, all right at the start.
Yeah.
The thing that makes it so fantastic is how flexible it is in general, and sort of the fact that it functions closer to a gun at primary than engine secondary. It's the most... It transgresses the most in terms of the class trends
Yeah, which I think I know why. It's because of the changes. The way it used to be, which I think for those who don't know, because I think that's a plenty amount of people, the shard diffractor, I think there is currently like an overclock, right, that would represent this. But the shard diffractor used to force you to shoot like a burst of laser, like a 40 something burst of fire, no matter what. It was basically a burst laser beam. And people were not happy. And this was in like the beta of season 2, it would have been, yeah. And people basically just berated the shit out of Ghost Ship until they changed it, and they did.
It was actually a lot more interesting than people think, though. It wasn't good. It had a massive number attached to it. It had like over 1,000 battery capacity, but it used more than one ammo per piece per like instance of damage. And I think like the ammo like upgrades would like it wouldn't be ammo. It would change like your efficiency, which the battery stayed the same size, but it changed the amount of energy it used per piece of damage. So
yeah.
They really had big ideas for this, and I wouldn't say they got taken down, but it got changed a lot for the better. I think there's some remnants though.
That is definitely true though. I think if they weren't happy with the way the shard diffractor is now, they wouldn't have made it that way, right? They just, I think, understood that there was unnecessary difficulty in the way they made it. And so yeah, they simplified it a bunch, and now you can just shoot it. Basically, just whenever you want, shoot it, stop it, shoot it, stop it. You got to have a little bit of a cooldown, which is slightly awkward. You can't deny how slightly awkward it is. If you shoot, you then can't immediately shoot after.
You can't literally use it like a minigun, which is why there's a little bit more deliberateness involved in using it compared to a gun of primary. But it's still, I think it is still closer to that than an engineer secondary. But my God, is it a good weapon? It's really great, right? It's interesting in that it is good at everything. I'd say it's inherently better at single target though, by default. And you can only you can push it towards AoE, but I think the thing that makes it fantastic is that you can push it towards AoE, you can make it very good at crowd clearing, but it's always as good at single target damage as it is by default. You can never really hurt that part of it. It's always good at that. And it's not always amazing at AoE, right? It's not the huge crowd clearing that PGL is or that the Breach Cutter can be most of the time. But it can just be used to put down any individual enemy you come across if you want. And you can still turn it into a very powerful crowd clearing weapon if you want to. It's extremely flexible, and I like how its base function is different to the other two. It is more of a DPS weapon.
There's also definitely the ammo of the three, right?
It has a lot
more ammo. You know? It's damage over time more than instance. Although it does do plenty of instance, it's just less so than the other ones. I don't know. I think my opinion of the shard diffractor hasn't really changed since it was added, mainly because I haven't used it much since then. But it's the fact that like, if you wish something to die, no matter where or what it is, the shard diffractor will kill it. Like, it's just a fact. You point the shard diffractor at an enemy, they will die. And I think that's pretty strong.
Pretty strong. And like I said, it is kind of good at both things. But if you do try and use it for both, that's when it sort of starts tearing through ammo, because its ammo is very good, even though it's like obviously it goes through it very quickly. You're only really hurting yourself if you try and use it for both. So as good as it is at dealing with crowds and single targets, it rewards focusing on one or the other, I think. Or it rewards I guess it doesn't work if you try and use it for both in equal amount, I suppose. It's pretty difficult to sort of place, but I say I don't know. I just really like the fact that it stays good at single target, no matter what you do to it, pretty much. Yeah. And it's got a pretty simple mod selection as well, but in sort of a good way. I'd say the only issue is probably tier 4, and I wouldn't call it an issue because I don't want this mod to change ever. But this is kind of pointless. As in, they should probably make this default. Because I don't think anyone's not using it. But that's also one of the best things about the shard diffractor. It just makes it feel so much better is just being able to set things on fire very quickly. You know,
Yeah,
you
I
don't
mean,
just
it's,
you know when it comes to taking out the individual grunts. Like, I think it especially applies to that for me. Individual grunts on that area, you don't necessarily just fire until they're dead. You just fire until they're on fire, and then they will die very quickly too. This usually not left on a lot of health, but it means you don't just have to. You don't end up wasting any ammo because you stop once they're on fire. And
compared to the flamethrower, how like are they pretty similar in dishing out fire? Like,
well, it's equal to
if
the
you
direct
remove
damage.
it-
It's 7 heat per
right?
pieces of damage, and you can get up to 500 and
Or couldn't you also
525.
increase your direct damage?
You could, and then it would be 9.
Yeah.
475 times
Which actually
0.9.
no, because the flamethrower can get up to like 20. I think it starts at 10 default, and you can put the flame on to 20. So it's not really comparable to that, but it is infinite range fire, which is definitely worth
Yes,
noting.
it's also that.
Um,
The range is ridiculously useful as well. That's something that
Yeah.
really makes it just.
which is why you know,
God, it's such
it's
a
a
nice
robot
weapon to
melter.
have with you. You feel good
Yeah.
having it with you, I think, and it can
Yeah.
be built in quite a few different ways. Some of them, although I
Ooh,
do
it's
think some of the
overclocked.
overclocks don't quite hold up. Yeah, overclocks. For me, it's sort of it's stuck between these two. Volatile impact reactor, which is the magma one, and efficiency tweaks, which are just ammo, which you take for direct damage or a sort of light crowd clearing build. You could take radius, and and biomass converter, and that's actually not bad. But you would take that for single target damage, and I usually take ammo anyway. I really don't know where to go from here though, apart from getting into the stuff that I think isn't particularly good, which is some of these overclocks.
Right. Oh god. Yeah, you're not fond of a couple, are you? Or
Yeah,
at least one.
these two.
Alright.
I think this one's probably the worst one. Feedback loop. Look, for every full second that the beam fires continuously, the area damage increases by +1 and area radius increases by plus 0.3 meters. But you lose 100 ammo.
Yeah.
+1 damage per second. Look at how quickly it uses up all that ammo. Those effects do not come into play at all. Like, that is so goddamn useless.
If anything, it needed more ammo, not less.
Exactly. Which is why this is better for that anyway. I already had that selected. I keep deselecting it.
Oh.
This is already better for that. You can just take radius. It's an overdrive booster, which is a cool idea, but it's also a useless idea. As in, it's not cool enough to really justify the gimmick, and it would be so much better as a straightforward, unstable overclock that specs into direct damage. Because I wish it actually had that. I wish this just hard spec'd into AoE, and this just hard spec'd into direct damage. Plastic Catalyst, though, is actually pretty good for a really gimmicky overclock.
If a bit awkward.
Yeah, if a bit awkward.
That's my
but
issue with it.
You get like up to, I think you have enough ammo to use all your platforms, which means you get like 32 300 damage explosions in a 5 meter radius. That's essentially Fat Boy as well, in a lot of ways. I think that will kill guards first of all, and it does decent single target damage with the explosions as well. So this is actually pretty good too. I guess the point is that the shard refractor is very good as it is, and that's why this is probably the best overclock for it. And then these two sort of break into being pretty interesting ways of using it for crowd clearing that do actually work. Yeah, it's difficult to like really use it as a big criticism. It's the fact that I think 3 of them aren't great. I mean, this is fine, okay, it's fine, but I think it's also made kind of useless by efficiency tweaks. I want to use this again, actually, though.
It's the homage, isn't it, to how it used to be?
It is a
isn't
homage, essentially. Yeah, I don't think it was actually there at Season 2 launch.
No.
Or at least it disappeared after they reworked it. It might have been introduced before launch still. But
It wasn't there when they reworked it because it just it is reworking it into how it used to be, right?
yeah, that didn't exist before.
Which I think they did have to change quite a few of them, didn't they? In changing how the gun worked. Like there was a lot of things. Which if you want to learn more on, we've got videos on in like probably what's it, season 2 patch notes probably talks more about it.
I mean, this
Or
is
the-
probably one that underwent the most changes because it was actually I think it still used the platforms on launch potentially, as in it what it did before, it used to bounce off of platforms, which I never actually saw in action. Wish I did.
Yeah, but they changed that pretty quick, didn't they?
Yeah, it was weird. Kind of wanted to bring that back, to be honest. I think there's a lot of potential here as well. Unfortunately, most people don't seem to agree that these two are kind of fumbled, even though they definitely are. So,
Yeah, I mean,
maybe it's like there's a lot of potential, but I think there's a lot of potential for some more simple stuff as well. Just a clean that increases direct damage or AOE would be lovely.
Like, it just suffered a bit of overcomplicatus, as you know, some things do. And I don't know. I think it's still an A, right?
Oh,
I think
for sure.
Yeah, it's still very solid, but it does have some instances where it's not quite S. So there it is.
It's not
Still,
perfect. It's just very strong and very reliable.
Very interesting, very cool addition.
Yeah,
like,
it's just got a lot of stuff that you can use that isn't very good, but you have to choose to use those things at least. It's very good by default.
Yeah.
I respect. So I need to make this with more space because of what is going to precede this. Right. Okay. Our boy. The boy. First of all, we didn't spend long on that, but I didn't see us ever disagree on the shard refractor.
No. No. However, I'm gonna, if anything, just so we can start disagreeing, if anything here of the new 3 or new 4, whatever, I don't like the coil gun. It's just,
that's an opinion I respect. Not liking it is very understandable.
I think it has some strengths, sure. Like, I mean, I don't know its sheds, to be honest with you, because I've never wanted to use it. It's just never felt like Morals seems like a giant pain in the ass. Fuck that noise. Like Reatomizer is a goof. Is a little goofy goober.
Yeah, okay. This is where the problems with the coil gun sort of come in that it's what you're meant. Its best form is not handed to you at all. It's very unclear what it's meant to be when you first get it.
Yeah, and it's quite similar to the Shard Refractor in that it's a quasi direct damage area mix. Except I think this is a bit more area, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think the problem with it comes across as a very unimpressive mix at first. Yeah. Even though that's quite a lot of damage per shot, for some reason, both of the others I think feel more effective at sort of picking off priority targets. You can one-shot things like acid spitters and trijaws and things like that, which is sort of like not like they're like non-tanky high priority targets. It can do, you know, and then you do have the trail, but it's like also if you do look at the overclocks, it's like I'd say only 2 of these or 3 of these are really worth like a damn. Like the mole is pretty awesome, but it's a pain in the arse, and I don't think it's actually worth it. I don't think it's worth the effort. Reatomizer is worse. Well, it's just goofy. It's just goofy, but it's so fucking boring too. It doesn't do anything. Like, it seems like it would be goofy, but it ain't. And then backfeeding module is a good overclock, but the base weapon isn't good enough for backfeeding module, I'd argue. Yeah. Triple Tech Chambers is something.
Probably the only one I actually like using, just because it's interesting. Like, it's just literally, yeah. I think it's also because it alleviates one of my biggest issues with the coil gun. It's a single shot thing, and it has a slow ass reload, right? Like, it's shot, reload, or charge, shot, reload, and it's just it's just not there. The damage just isn't worth the time for me for most of it, except for triple tech tamers, which while it is kind of still like that, at least it's shot, and it feels cooler. It feels kind of a bit better. It feels a bit skill based, which even though it really isn't that much, it still feels quite cool. Unlike the rest of the gun most of the time for me.
Hellfire is pretty awesome.
I have yet to. I don't think I've used it, but you don't like. I've only ever heard you compliment the coil gun with Hellfire.
Hellfire is fantastic. So this is the problem with the coil gun, right? So if we were ranking these in terms of how powerful their strongest build is, we need to create a new tier.
Yeah,
I'm being serious.
You think the coil gun has the ability to be the strongest thing in the game?
Actually, no. Only because it's not actually that versatile. It's just what you can do with it is ridiculously efficient crowd clearing, just incomprehensibly efficient. But the thing is, it's slightly better than that. It's not good against single targets, but this is what it comes down to, though. What the coil gun. The best part of the coil gun is not the damage, like the direct damage. It's not the piercing necessarily either. It's the trail.
Yeah, that's a gimmick.
It's the trail itself, and there's only one upgrade that specs into the trail. Actually, two, but this is also useless. This is for Hellfire. This is for ultramagnetic coils. This is what you do with the coil gun. There are two builds for the coil gun, and I'm about to show you them. There's this. Actually, these two don't matter, but you take that and that. Oh, no, that. You take this. Most ridiculously efficient AoE in the game, right? Or you take Hellfire. And you just have really strong, just very straightforward AoE. Crowd clearing. And they're both fantastic builds.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where it stops. But they are easily strong enough where it's not going anywhere low. As in, I think the coil gun has a lot of problems in overcomplicating itself, and I don't think they want. But the thing is, I think its best builds aren't necessarily what they want the coil gun to just be. But also, not a lot of people see those builds either. So for a lot of people, it is things like the mole. The coil gun is for a lot of people, but for me, it's not. It's actually this absolute crowd clearing monster that's just hidden behind a few doors. You can just, if you could know how to open them.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's too many caveats, I think, and there's too many. There's also, it has things that has some drawbacks. There's plot holes, basically. Yeah, there are plot holes in the coil gun, and I don't think I can actually put it in A.
No, I think I can tell, but yeah, no, I don't think it should be an A. I don't think it's inherently a C, even though going by kind of definitions, you know, two good builds, that's basically a C.
But this is better than that, though.
It's more Zukov level, isn't it, really? It's two things that are, like, you know, pretty damn rad, and the rest is just middling.
Well, I should point out triple tech chambers is good for the same reasons.
Yeah.
As ultramagnetic coils, actually. Either way, I did a video on that build, actually. So you'll see why it's so good if you just watch that. Stupid.
Alright.
Stupid as hell. Dumb as hell.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't like the coil gun, to be honest, and so I never really bother using it. So I'm glad you carried that one, because it wasn't much more for me to really be qualified to say. Not that I'm qualified in much things, except maybe talking about this guy.
Not as qualified as you think, Tyler. Not as qualified.
Well, the most, if any, right? Anything Dreller's got his grubby hands on is the most I've got my grubby hands on. And
we are, of course, talking about the wave cooker.
Yeah.
The wave cooker.
This fella hurts people, apparently, I think, right? Like, who is it that can't stand it? Like a pretty reputable...
Snowing Faye, he thinks it shouldn't be in the game.
Yeah, he can suck a fat one. The wave cooker...
Awesome opinion, buddy.
The wave cooker is really fucking sick, to be honest. It is so cool, and arguably almost too cool for school. like it is hard to pick other secondaries with the wave cooker being in the game. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Like, as far as I'm concerned, the wave cooker, like the EPC is just a preference if you're using it, right? If you're using the EPC to temperature shock, it's just because you prefer using the EPC over the wave cooker, because the wave cooker is exceptionally better at temperature shocking than the EPC. And
it's almost a bit of the breach cutter thing again, though, I think, where it's like people sort of view breach cutter as being dominated by lightweight cases. I think in the same vein, the wave cooker in sort of the community's mind is dominated by the temperature shock build, but I also, which is fantastic, but I also think it's so much more than that at the same time.
It is a lot, and it's just a lot of a gun, right? I mean, first of all, let's get this out of the way. Infinite range. Right, for Triller, that is really fucking good, and it's like it's easy hit scan as well. Like, because my shit ass fucking doughy finger hand ass dumbass ass can't hit a shot with the Sabata at long range, right? Like, I hit better with the EPC at long range because at least there's bigger shots and I just have to lead them a little. But the wave cooker, those web splitters and acid splitters never stood a chance. Because even though the wave cooker may be built for something else, right, I still should use it for killing enemies like that, and it's perfect for that. Easy deletion of like rooftop threats, right? Cave leeches included, just all that stuff, and yeah, obviously that's something, right? Fat, like wide hit scan, infinite range. It's just inherently good on that regard, right? It's just impossible to miss, basically, and that's literally surface level. And then you go into it a little bit further, and it's just interesting. Like, it's just really fucking interesting.
Like, I think you can start at the very most basic level, which is like it's just the way it works. You know, it's just a hit scan sort of beam that uses heat as well, so it's like it's full it's just a magazine. It's like it's full ammo there. There's no
overheating is always funky,
and like, but the way that it does its AOE is like it's like the width of the beam, which is pretty unique as well. Right?
Yeah,
and you can sort of play with that in a lot of ways. You have this in tier 1, but you also have the alternate firing modes. Like, I'd say it starts getting interesting at tier 3, I guess.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
Well, tier 3 when it starts,
doesn't let up.
and I think this is something they kind of lean on more during the Gen 3 stuff, but I think it's very visible during the wave cooker. But like tier 1, tier 2s, they leave to generic additions, like, you know, like damage, ammo, AOE, right? Pretty
this
generic.
This is actually a good tier 1, by the way. Like, it actually works for the wave cooker, I think.
Yeah.
I think ammo is often more tempting, but
ammo is always the option if you're playing to the obvious builds, right? Like, because you don't need area or damage for temperature shock or you know, the other one. But if you actually want to use the boiler on its own for its own merit, then yeah, damage is obviously what you'd want. But the AOE, I think AOE actually can be in between, to be honest with you. But yeah, and obviously, yeah, tier 2 is just like pretty generic, but not like the obvious stuff.
Yeah,
like
these two sort of exist to alleviate certain overclocks, I think, actually.
Yeah.
And then this is sort of
yeah,
if you want, feels pretty good.
That one is because I realized, well, I didn't really understood rate of fire on it, but I realized it's really because a lot of it relies on percentage chance.
Probably the biggest criticism actually you're going to have, I reckon.
Probably, yeah. But that's my point, is that the rate of fire alternate firing mode and the rate of fire mod there is kind of given to you to alleviate that. However, as mentioned, I still can shoot a Praetorian until it almost dies, slash my wave cooker overheats, and it will not have irradiated it, right? And obviously that's for an overclock later, but like, it being so reliant on luck more often than not is kind of annoying.
What the chances that was actually a radioactive Praetorian? Because it wouldn't have worked in that context.
I'm going to be honest with you, Harry. we're sitting at a 90% chance. However, I still notice it on many other things.
Yeah, I mean, some oppressors. Oh, well, we'll get to that anyway. But then you get to tier 3 though. Plus, also, we've been pretty quick so far. We've got a lot of time. I love talking about the wave cooker. So tier 3, there's where it starts getting interesting. So you have densification rate, which is just it's a pretty straightforward slowdown.
Enemy control, pretty. Once again, that's if you want to use the wave cooker to be its own thing, you would use densification rate because
it's for that, but also any build where you're pairing it with the sludge pump too.
Yeah, sludge pump, because
the other one doesn't do anything.
Wouldn't merit from it. This one, it took me a while to realize what it really did.
It's hard to understand. I think people don't understand it because I would assume most people think that it means it will help you set things on fire or help you freeze things.
Yeah.
No, that's not what it does. That's not.
Although it says it does, but it's really bad at it if it does, right?
Well, hold on. That description is accurate, actually, but I don't know if the in-game one is that.
Yeah, basically, if there is an enemy that is like not on fire but hot, or not frozen but cold.
No, but it's accurate. The in-game one is accurate.
Yeah, it will push it further towards that, basically. And that, I would say, isn't the point of it, which I always thought it was.
Oh, no. It doesn't go towards. The things already have to be on fire or frozen. It just makes them more of that.
Right, but it really comes down to, and I think this is why I think this mod prefers cryo, to be honest with you, but this radiates that temperature in the area around it, like really well, I'm pretty sure. Like, I don't know how good it has to be, but it has to be pretty fucking good.
I assume that is for cryo then, because the cryo doesn't
the fire one, the fire one would obviously spread it a lot quicker, but having cryo spread as efficiently as this can, like, we are talking, you shoot a frozen enemy, it will, like, within less than maybe around a second, freeze all other grunts next to it, and then they will then spread freeze to their grunts around them. That, being done not with the cryo, basically doubles your cryo efficiency. Like, you can freeze an entire horde without using any more than like a single spray of the cryo cannon with that mod. And obviously that's technically also true with fire, but I would argue fire does that on its own and it's not that big a deal. But like, yeah, if you can, like, it just amplifies your freezing capability like a shit ton.
I'm imagining a build for that using the shatter mod on the cryo cannon, but you actually do most of the freezing with the wave cooker, and then you just tear them apart with shatter. I don't know. I'm thinking about this because obviously if you use this with exothermic reactor, it would just end up killing everything before they get frozen. Yes.
Yeah. Well, that is still the thing, though. Is with them combined, they don't stand a chance. It's just a fact. They genuinely do not stand a chance, because it's just a fact that, like, if you have a grunt frozen and then you're hitting it and like it spreads cryo to the other grunts while the first one gets temperature shocked, so he dies, and then all these other ones are frozen, and while they're frozen they spread frozen to everyone else around them, then they get temperature shocked. And it's basically that as long as you can hold down the trigger, which for the wave cooker with overheating isn't that long, you just temperature shock, freeze, temperature shock, freeze, temperature shock, freeze, temperature shock, freeze everything that comes in through your path. It is fucking amazing. Like, it's absolutely diabolically broken, and I love it.
Diabolical.
And that's just one build. That's literally those two mods. Admittedly, you really just need those two mods. That is just it. That'll do you for cryo. It works for fire the same way, but I just prefer the cryo side of it. Like, it works just as well with fire, except it doesn't hold them still before they get temperature shocked. But yeah, that alone destroys. The wave cooker fucking tears enemies to pieces. And not to mention that with, these next two...
Tier 4 is weird, but Tier 4 is so fucking cool, right? They don't always feel like particularly impactful, like all the time. But the fact that it's two upgrades and they're both alternate firing modes that get added on,
it is so
really weird and cool. And one of them, and they're just for different things. I mean, this one is actually more for...
percentage chance stuff.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, just for like
you don't need more accuracy though. You never need to whittle down your thing.
Well, that's supposed to be that's kind of supposed to be a drawback actually. The rate of fire is the thing you get, and then it becomes a much tighter beam.
Yeah, because you don't need a tighter beam. There's no reason to have it more accurate because you are still hitting that area, right, with the wider beam, just as well as normal. But yeah, the smaller beam isn't supposed to be a negative. But even then, it's not that bad one. But yeah.
Also, by the way, this is how you handle upgrades that have drawbacks.
Yeah.
Because they're alternate firing modes. It's as simple as that. And wide lens is also really great because that's how you get more width. You know, you could sort of have a balance of both, or you could go hard into rate of fire, or you could go hard into. Actually, I guess you could have that as well with the rate of, with the AOE, but you get like a massive like lens.
Yeah. And the thing is that I genuinely like with the way the wave cooker works. That isn't inherently a good idea, but it's also by no means a bad one, right? Like it does not hurt you to do that. Like, really. Like, it's just down to personal preference. And if you want a huge fucking area just for the shits and giggles, you really can. And the wave cooker is just so strong that it will allow you to do it. As long as you play it not recklessly. But yeah, it's I don't know, it's such a fucking cool tier of mods, let alone all of them. It's just like Wave Cooker, it's mods are just peak. Like that's it. Like
it's an amazing mod selection.
It is by far top 3, if not best mod selection in the game. The most unique, most like specialized, most interesting mods. And as mentioned though, I think the first 2 tiers are generic as hell. But I think that's kind of the point. Generic stuff.
You do need them to be. It would be too much if they weren't.
Yeah, just like generic stuff, simple fucking stat leaning towards stuff, and then alternate firing mode, which is it's just wild because then it's like that mod doesn't do anything until you want it to, which is pretty sick. And then obviously tier 5, pretty fucking wild because I think
tier 5, here we go.
For a long period of time, I think we both, at least I've been of the opinion that temperature shock build, as we mentioned earlier, fucking fire or cryo, you know what I mean. But then obviously there is Contagion Transmitter, which I think, do you prefer that more than the temperature shock? Because I guess
shock is not what I do with the cryo, with the wave cooker. Yeah. I just don't. I don't care for it. But I know it's amazing, but I don't find it that interesting. It's pretty exciting when you use it, but I just prefer doing other things with it. I find it, it's not my preference. Yeah.
Contagion Transmitter is absolutely fucking amazing as well. I mean, first of all, increases your damage against corroded enemies, so obviously pairs well with the charge pump. But then it also pairs well with neurotoxin grenades, which that can't be said for many things. But also it doesn't have to.
It's not actually for that. This is the point of Contagion Transmitter, right? It does more damage to enemies that are poisoned or corroded. Actually, it might be specifically neurotoxin, but that's the main form of poison. But it does more damage to both of them, and that includes the sludge puddles, obviously. But additionally, when it's hitting any enemies that have neurotoxin or are corroded, there's just a chance that it will just create neurotoxin.
A 10% chance. So you would kind of want to slap on a fire rate buff for that, just so it happens a lot more reliably.
But this is a bit weird. As much as I love this mod, it's a bit weird. If you figure out how to use it, though, it works. Like the main way of using it, the main use of it is actually stacking damage over time effects. But because I think if you shoot a sludge pump into a horde of grunts, most of them will die. All the ones that you hit will die, but the puddles are still going to be there, and you can use those puddles to just make the sludge pump go a lot further. In that, don't shoot another charge shot. So even if there's more grunts coming, just let them walk through the puddles and then just lay into them with the wave cooker. And that's how you get the neurotoxin to actually take down hordes. That's how you stop it from being overkill, and you actually get really good use out of it.
And I agree that, because this was something that kind of blindsided me, and this is entirely your fault, and I hate you for it. Not true. Basically, I got blindsided by this corrosion transmitter is used to stack status effects, but I would say that's not really true. It is also quite a bit like the Sabatas Fire one. If you want to deal damage with the wave cooker, like direct damage, it
is actually good for that too. Container transmitter's great, actually. It's for a lot of different things.
If you sludge up a fucking dreadnought and then you're like full damage fire rate wave cooker, you're probably gonna actually do damage. Like as maybe not the best in the universe.
No, I've been doing this. It's pretty weird. I don't feel that efficient, but it's kind of fun.
It's probably not efficient, but like the fire rate thing. But like, yeah, I don't know. It's an option, and that's the thing. I think it is so many options. It's one of the broadest, yet clearest.
Actually, I'll take let's just remove that for now.
Yeah. I don't know. It's fucking sick. And then here's the last tier 3, which I'll be honest, I kind of dismissed, but you have recently acquired a taste for, right? This is it, isn't it? The
Boiler Ray. Here comes Boiler Ray. You're in trouble because Boiler Ray's here. You're in trouble. Boiler Ray is for the wave cooker if you don't want to actually, if you don't want to directly combo with anything. There's still an element of pairing in that it's better if you're using it to finish things off because then you don't have to waste a lot of wave cooker ammo. But it's the one where if you don't want to actually combo it with your primaries outright, like in a very direct manner, it makes use of the wave cooker's own direct damage, as in you have to kill things with direct wave cooker damage to get the effect. But
it's probably best used with the sludge and the fire, right? Because it doesn't gain the cryo boost.
It's not good for the cryo cannon. Because the only argument there is that the cryo cannon arguably has the best single target option in Ice Spear, just in terms of single target damage per shot. And then Boiler Ray sort of DPS AoE, in that and it does feel pretty good, especially if you spec into ammo. You do feel like you have a lot of ammo, even if you're just doing it to grunts. It feels amazing. Like, it doesn't always feel great, but it always feels fantastic against tiny enemies and dense groups of enemies. Always. It feels a little bit dubious against sort of like more spread out or smaller groups of grunts because you do have to use quite a bit of ammo. You don't always get the explosions, but it completely annihilates tiny enemies. Like, people are like, Jordan's primaries are really great against swarmers and shit. It's like, well, they are, right? But they're not actually, in my opinion, not as good as people think.
They're not particularly. It's not something you'd want to use your primaries for, though.
No, that's something the Boiler Ray can do. It decimates them beyond efficiently. It's hilarious, actually. It's kind of hilarious, and especially when you get tiny enemies mixed in with larger groups, that becomes very powerful.
They go beyond funny and just become deadly.
I think the other two options are more attractive, but Boiler Ray absolutely has its place, and it should exist. Because the other two are for the primaries, Boiler Ray's for the wave cooker, and it works. I'd argue the other two will be better overall, but Boiler Ray, it earns its place.
That was always like my perspective on it, that the other two were obviously specking into what they clearly are. But I thought that the Boiler Ray was for the wave cooker, but I didn't think it was particularly good for it. But I haven't actually tried it since you recommended it, but because I don't know, I just fucking love the wave cooker, I'm like totally rared to go to do that. And obviously, like, because you're basically, it just turns the gun into volatile guts, right? Like, it's just always volatile guts while you're using this.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Not exactly, because volatile guts, everything would just blow up on death no matter what. Boiler Ray won't make the things it kills blow up. Like, there's an explosion. Killing other things, won't make them explode. But it'll still. It's not like it's not actually a grunt killing explosion outright. Obviously, you get a bit of You're only missing 8 damage actually to kill grunts, and you sort of get that extra bit of just the wave cooker's based AOE. And also, suddenly, if you blow a grunt up, everything around it's weaker anyway. So they're much closer.
It will kind of chain just accidentally.
Yeah, it does chain, sort of, but not like completely on its own. But there's definitely chaining involved. It's good. It is good.
Yeah, and you notice that we basically complemented it on all those things, and that is actually without using any of the overclocks. I think with all of that being said, without using any of the overclocks, it's still just as strong.
Liquid cooling system, because this is kind of pointless. I reckon liquid cooling system, right? Liquid
cooling system is for people that struggle with the overcharging. The overheating rather, and I think that is an entirely fair thing to be in the game. Those mechanics and those mods, those those overclocks, like being able to just be there if you're struggling with a mechanic to alleviate it a little bit. Same thing with like
it's also for people who aren't using it properly. Because people who want to just like ammo dump into enemies and they can't because it overheats before they actually get to kill things.
Sure,
you shouldn't be doing that because that's a waste of the wave cooker's ammo.
Sure, but you should also be allowed to do it if you want to.
I agree. It's also a fair clean, right?
Yeah. It is. I don't think. Yeah, it's by no means meta, but it's by no means bad. Mega power
it's
supply.
Also a clean that has 3 positives, by the way.
Yeah, which is solid. And all of them directly related to overheating.
Going for it. It's even got the only clean with 3 positives. Like, I mean, some things have more. Like like Panzer Missiles got more negatives than it lists, but Liquid Cooling System's got 3 green arrows in game that you can see, which is pretty cool. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, let's do the other clean first. Because this, it's not bad, is it? I mean, it's not. It's a bit weird. Like, it's a bit weird, obviously.
But like, it's pretty cool. Like, because that's actually, you think about it, that's quite a bit of damage for a clean to add.
That is what the Sabata Fire gives you. It gives you that much more damage against fire enemies, and so you can stack that with the other percentage increase of corroded enemies. / poison neurotoxin, and you can get good damage for enemies near you. Not to mention, obviously, the fire rate of the gun is really close.
And as well.
Yeah.
For those, it's also interesting. It's like more damage, but only at close range.
But that's not really a big deal for Driller, but for the wave cooker, it's kind of weird.
I'd like to see the opposite as well, though.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that
maybe just for a different
weapon?
Like that could be good for like something like the shard diffractor.
Maybe, yeah.
Where it does more damage at long range. You know. Or I do like the idea of one where it gets wider the further it goes. That makes a lot of sense to me. You know. That's what a lot of flashlights do. It's supposed to be a flashlight. Either way, yeah, I mean it's good. It's a pretty good overclock, really good clean. You know. Respect for this lens. Not as much respect for diffusion rate, but
you don't like diffusion rate, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Like, if your goal is to hit as many enemies as you can, diffusion rate is fucking amazing, right? 3 penetrations is up there, right? Like, as far as penetrations anything goes, 3 is like, you know.
I can see how I would use it, but I just can't be bothered for some reason.
Yeah. Plus, it doubles down on the slowness.
I sort of saw it when we sort of just saw everything to do with the weapons before actually getting our hands on them. I thought, oh my god, everything on this weapon is so cool, and that includes diffusion rays. Like, it adds 3 penetration and has slowdown as well. It's in 1 overclock.
Diffusion ray, I think diffusion ray pairs best with the sludge pump. You charge shot, a ton of enemies are sitting in your puddles, most of them died on contact, but the ones that are still alive, or the new ones that are there, you shoot the diffusion ray through them, they're not ever reaching you, right? They are giga slowed down, because of their slowdown and the mod slowdown and the sludge pump slowdown. If you're using diffusion ray, they're also then going to have neurotoxin and thingy, and they're definitely going to have neurotoxin because you're hitting 3 enemies all with sludge on them at the same time. You're like guaranteed almost immediate neurotoxin clouds to start appearing. Like, it is a very you cannot come near me overclocked. I mean, the wave cooker is already like your argument for it. I don't know your argument for it, but like the wave cooker is already good at that. I will acknowledge that. That even without diffusion ray, it still does a good enough job with it. But diffusion ray just triples it. It triples the you cannot move or come close to me, and I'm going to hit all of you at once.
Yeah, I guess my issue with it is it's adding on to stuff that I don't need more of.
Yeah.
Wave cooker, and it's taking away something that I'd rather keep. I mean, it's only 1 damage, but for some of my builds, I would rather keep the damage it has, even if it's not a lot.
I don't know. I think you slap AoE or ammo on that thing on tier 1. Tier 2 doesn't really matter. And literally, you have a charged sludge pump shot down. As long as that puddle is still around, you will be untouchable with this. As long as you're holding down the enemies with the over before you overheat. So whatever tier 2 mod prevents you from overheating quickly, slap that on, and you'll probably be like untouchable, really. and now I want to try that build as well. Point is, I just fucking love the wave cooker, and that's still those are probably the worst 3 overclocks, right? I mean, or at least the least obviously good.
I think, yes, I would agree. I think Super Focus Lens got a chance at getting to the big leagues, maybe, but it's not the big leagues. Speaking of big leagues, because I'm going to be honest,
people would say this is the best overclock.
They're probably right. Okay, they're probably right because it's best. It's just amazing.
Best for the efficiency of the temperature shock build with mega power supply is unparalleled. It's just simply unparalleled. It is the efficiency of your primary, like having to not deal with that much of anything because the wave cooker will carry it for himself, but then the wave cooker killing everything and temperature shock and being incredibly efficient with shit tons more ammo and fire rate, so it takes even less time. Like it's just ridiculous. And with its negatives basically just being don't overheat. It's just free ammo. It's just free ammo. Like
it is great. Mega Power Supply is so good. It makes it so much more flexible. It makes it feel better to take damage or concave lens in tier 1. It works with all sort of free variations of it. Like I don't really use it with Contagion Transmitter because I think the other options are actually a lot better for that. But it's great for Explosive Reactor, and it's great for Boiler Rate because Boiler Rate just feels it's made better by just having a lot of ammo.
More efficient, so you can use it more primarily.
Yes.
Yeah,
so you don't always have to be finishing things off to make Boiler very efficient.
I think the reason why people definitely can make the argument, and why I wouldn't shout at them for it, that battery is the best fucking overclock, is because it, the excellent mods we were just talking about, it allows you to use them more, right? It puts the focus more on them rather than on the overclock, which I think the wave cooker is more than good enough mods to carry that kind of playstyle, or that kind of like overclock. Like normally, your ammo overclocks have to rely on the mods being good enough, and I think the wave cooker definitely is that.
Definitely an S tier overclock. For sure.
And then we get to our unstables on the wave cooker breakdown, which is kind of defeating the purpose of my driller guide, which, I mean, there's plenty on wave cooker because fucking hell is it a Goliath to break into.
The process is almost just that alone.
I didn't even try. I was
There's no point. Okay, we're not going to try too hard, but if you really want to stand listening to Necrosis, actually, you know what? I don't even know if Lazy Maybe is quite good enough. It's a bit much. I don't think he really, because he said he didn't say everything that even I've noticed about it. I've noticed things that he didn't really talk about. It's kind of dumb, but it's really strong. Necrosis is very strong. I know Tyler doesn't like it because it's based on chance. It's a very low chance. I wish they found another way to do it that didn't involve chances. That's his biggest issue, though. The effect is really cool and very good. I think sort of when it started out, when the wave cooker sort of first came out, it's like, as a driller, these blisters seem kind of useless. Because I can't really do much to them. You can, but it's sort of weird. Prison Necrosis is very good at giving the wave cooker itself a lot more damage, but you can use the primaries with it in certain ways as well. And
obviously other characters.
But it doesn't. Yeah, it's also good for that too. So yeah, you literally spawn weak points on enemies, and it's just very strange. It's just very strange, and it allows you to do a lot of damage when the blisters do occur. Yeah. Also, a weird mechanic about it is that it actually gains the bonuses of the weak, like relative to the weak point. Although I think only if it's higher than normal. Because people might not know this, but
modern ones, I know they receive a shit ton more damage.
This is somehow, but so some things, weak points. When it comes down to it, what a weak point actually is just an area on an enemy that is completely unarmored flesh. That's actually what it is technically, and the only reason it's technically that is because of the oppressor, which its weak point only takes times 1 damage. Because it's the only place that you can hit it. So the oppressor sort of throws things off. But most weak points take double damage from direct damage. And some take 3 times. like Warden and all Max Terrors do. I think the Shellbacks do as well, although their weak points are very difficult to hit. So yeah, you get things like that, and it will gain the bonuses of those weak points. So it will do more damage on a ward if you put it on a Warden weak point. I mean, you have to put it on the weak point though, which is really weird. So Blistering Cross has got a lot going on, and it's very difficult for me to judge, right? Because I like it a lot. I understand the problem with it, but I don't know what I would do about it if I thought it needed to change.
I think the issue with Piston Necrosis isn't that there's anything wrong with it. It's just that it doesn't work with the mods. Like, as we mentioned, the temperature shock, nah. The corrosion, like that stacking, not really. I mean, it ain't bad because I imagine you'll get the damage boost, but but it's still not like it's not the best thing in the world. It doesn't. It's just not. It's just weird. It's not bad. It's just weird, and I can't agree with it. But doesn't make it not good. It's still good.
But the Wave Cooker's, like, honestly, the Wave Cooker's mod selection excuses any overclock. Really, it can exist just fine. It's only a gain having an overclock like that. Literally, it's just heat again.
Right.
It's just heat stuff.
So
again.
It just makes it easier to overheat.
There's nothing lost by having this Necrosis exist. I think it's only a benefit to have this overclock. It's pretty cool.
Other than obviously, it'll increase your overall damage and everyone's overall damage just by having it. But if you want to more reliably use the Wave Cooker for other things, then Mega Power Supply is your better shout. Or if you want to do something else pretty interesting.
If you want to, say, not use your primary, if you ever wanted to challenge yourself and you only use a secondary weapon, and you're a driller, you take Gamma Contamination.
What, you think it's that good?
Once. Only because I did that once and it worked. I didn't die. Didn't fail the mission.
Even though with that, you're just like doing that though, right? You're just giving them radiation.
Yeah. But it's Gamma Contamination. It's I think it's one of the best overclocks actually. I'm going to keep it real with you, Chief. I'm going to keep it Chief with you real.
Once again,
really do think
percentage
it's
chance, but it's actually only 25%, so I guess it probably was a radiation
25% chance. It's it's high enough chance. Like you get, say, it takes away some ammo. You have 350 ammo. I don't know what that is divided by 4. I should be able to do that on the spot though, quite easily, if I'm being honest. Like 70 something. You get just over 70 uses of the actual effect, and that's enough. It's just amazing for a lot of things. It's amazing for just picking off things as well, like where splitters and acid splitters, because you just shoot them until they're affected and they'll die. But that applies to most like weaker enemies as well. Pretty much any type of Mactero. I think maybe Brundles and Guards will live through it, but that's about it. And it's just an awesome status effect too. It feels great because if you spray this into crowds, you affect a lot of them. It radiates damage out of the enemy as well, as well as just being very just a lot of damage over time on that single enemy. You get that, but then it's also just it's fantastic for picking things off. It's fantastic for spraying into crowds, and it's also especially good for the being an absolute psychopath and just stacking as many damage over time effects as you can, which is it sounds very gimmicky, but it's genuinely a really good build.
With obviously
into damage over time.
The corrosion neurotoxin mod, they go together like peas in a pod.
What?
I don't know. My only complaint is that with the ammo decrease, it's not something that you could slap on and it's just you don't have to think about it or worry about it. Unlike Blister Necrosis and most of the other mods, to be honest with you, you kind of have to use it like you're using Gamma Contamination, which isn't a bad thing. It's just I'm just saying that it's one of the most it's the most manhandling. This is how you're using this gun now of the overclocks.
I agree, but the reason I like it so much it makes the wave cooker better on its own, and it also pairs amazingly with both. I'm not kidding. This is how when I use temperature shock on the wave cooker, I use gamma contamination.
It's just not a good idea. No, I'm sorry, I can't get on side of that because you are being less efficient, and radiation isn't going to be helping anyone or anything. It's just wasted damage. I just objectively and I don't think you can fight me on that, really. I do not want you recommending that to anyone because it's just not a good shout. It's just not a good shout.
I'm recommending it. It's good.
Do not. No, it's not.
This is the best build, guys. You should use this all the time, no matter what you do.
This is why you don't like temperature shock, because you're fucking using gamma contamination.
This is why I do like it. This is why I like it. It's great. I'd set a guard on fire, I temp shock it, it's now also irradiated. That's all I need to do to it. And that's it, actually. But that principle applies to a lot of different enemies, and it works out in my favour. Contamination
is still good, but I think it's at its weakest when it's used in temperature shock builds.
You're a nerd. Well, I don't think it's good for boiler ray though at all. I guess just let things die with it. So don't be silly. Right? Don't be silly. Don't use boiler ray.
It is its most selfish overclock. That's like you're using me now.
It's also just cool. It's just
even though technically it really kind of does less than blisters. It just changes to.
Just badass.
It is, and this was not something that I thought of going into this, but I don't think there's a universe where we can't put the wave cooker in S, right?
See, this is what I was going to ask. So I'm not actually feeling it, but I was still going to ask, why wouldn't we put it in S?
Every part of it is good, if not amazing, right? And I would say, as much as I like the EBC, it's just no competition. It is the best driller secondary, right? And it's fucking amazing. There isn't a way it isn't in S, but I entirely agree with you. It doesn't sit right, but I think it does just come down to the fact that it's a secondary.
Well, this isn't our last chance either to correct this.
No, but I think it's definitely. I mean, realistically, there isn't a wasted mod, is there? There isn't a wasted overclock.
It's not all the same level as the stuff at the top on it. It's not all equal in my opinion, but I think it's still right.
No, it's not all equal, but there are peaks, no valley. It's just like peak. It's just like peak, and there's a low slightly bit, which was still higher than most other mountains, but it's technically not a peak, and then another peak. It's just I don't know. It's just built different.
It's like the eggs in Haribo's Star Mix, I think. Well, you still like them, but they're probably the worst of the bunch.
I wouldn't say that, since I don't like them.
The wave cooker is Star Mix.
If the wave cooker was Star Mix, it's the Coca-Cola class. Because I didn't think I would like it, but then I actually had it. I'm like, wait, this is just as good, if not better, than everything else.
What's your favourite in Star Mix? So I actually really like the hearts.
Well, I don't like Star Mixes, but I like Tenfastics. I know they're the exact same thing, just with more sugar on the outside. I do not like anything.
Star Mix isn't sour at all.
I do not like. The things aren't sour; they're just more sweet.
Tenfastics is meant to be sour, Tyler. You're numb.
No.
You're numb. You're numb. You're numb. You're numb.
Anything with whatever that white stuff is disgusting. It's just the worst. Which includes all the crocodiles and that, and the egg and the heart.
Crocodiles.
So
Tenfastics. I don't like those guys. They suck dick.
Yeah, I think it probably would be I don't mind cherries, but they're a bit too common. I think it's the dummies, because there's a bunch of different variants of them, and each of them are quite nice.
Tenfastics tier list coming soon.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you, I forgot that we had another one after this. I was so finally. And then they've got the Crossbow.
It's going to be pretty similar round.
I
Similar
think
situation in terms of how long this is going to go
I agree with you. I agree with you, but I also don't, because I think we were fighting for the wave cooker. Meanwhile, I think everyone knows the crossbow is fucking amazing, right? Like, I think everyone knows the crossbow should be an S. Go on, get it in there. Go on, get it there. Or not. We'll see how it goes. But I mean,
I don't think it's quite the right number. I don't think of things that are that good on it. It's got probably arguably more viable. No, not more viable. I don't know. It's probably got the most different number of builds.
well, that was one of the reasons why. That's definitely one of the reasons why I thought we were going to do it. It's
big
just
divide between some of them. To be honest.
It's just, I don't know, yeah, let's get into it, maybe, and then we'll see. Because I didn't think going into the wave cooker that would come out but give it an S, so maybe we'll see it. But, I mean, obviously, right, out the gate, tier 1, right? They didn't beat around a fucking bush.
Okay, this is the interesting thing about the bolt shot. So does this mean it has the best tier 1, or is it's completely different?
Almost definitely, but I don't think that should be used as any merit, right? Because no other guns tier 1s are trying to be what the crossbow's tier 1 is. Yeah, like the crossbow tier 1s was like tier 1. I think you mean like beta clocks or like underclocks or whatever,
beta
right? Like just like, you know, like, yeah, just like underclocks, just hidden overclocks mods.
But they're also part of they're meant to be part of the weapon.
Obviously,
they just this is just how they had to do it.
Yeah. Which is inherently a cool enough idea where I think we both just, if it's not an S, it's going to be an A, right?
Don't worry. Don't worry about that. I just mean it actually comes down to the comparison between this and the wave cooker. Where I think the wave cooker's builds are actually more, don't worry, we'll get into it.
I don't think they're universal. I think the wave cooker has
they're
like
not.
2 to 3, maybe no, 3 to 4, but they are very good. They are exceedingly good, like immeasurably efficient, very good at damaging, very universal most of the time. Those are the wave cookers builds. The crossbow.
My generalist obsessed brain sort of stops me from allowing certain things, and that's the reason why the Thunderhead and the Sludge Pumper in S is because they're the best.
Yeah, because
generalist
even
weapons.
anything you put in S, obviously you could easily build it wrong most of the time, right? Like you could you could like direct damage one thing, area damage other thing, fucking, I don't know, like you could pick like the worst things ever for like every build, really. But like it's just the amount of immeasurably good builds and how easy they are to get to is really like S tier. And I think the Bolt Shark, in saying that, is a pain in the ass.
Being a Subway employee, right?
It's a real pain in the ass to make a really good Bolt Shark build.
Yeah. I want to point out though, I think one thing it has over the wave cooker, it feels pretty good in general. It doesn't really outperform any of the if you take default Bolt Shark, it's not outperforming the other two, but it feels pretty good that you just have these sort of just these single shots that can just wipe out the smaller stuff. Actually, I don't think. Oh no, you could definitely kill slashers in one shot. Actually, when I think about it,
Headshots grunts. I know that much.
Not even headshot. You don't headshot grunts at all. Anywhere on a grunt will do him in. There's just a lot of stuff that you can do with it that it just feels very satisfying to actually shoot and hit things with. It's got that going for it. It's very punchy. It feels like a good crossbow, but it definitely goes beyond that. Actually, I immediately though want to delve into my biggest criticism. If I had the choice, I would completely sacrifice all of my standard bolts, the special bolts, and you just can't do that. And I understand why, but how ridiculous that would be. But I still think the standard bolts are holding it back somewhat.
Standard bolts are lacking. It is just kind of a fact. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. I know there's bodkin, but really there should be like piercing, right? Like there's really, it should just be like a shot will just like pierce through enemies, right? Like something like that. Like ballista feeling bolts would really be something. But otherwise, yeah, because as it stands, like it is strong, being able to like one shot a grunt. But in the end of the day, it's not much gained by doing that, right? Like one enemy has died.
All the best builds are changing the standard bolts in some way.
Yeah. Other than obviously there is merit to, and I think we'll just because we can't really break through the tiers because let's be realistic. Other than tier 1, it's kind of all middling, right? I mean, like there's a pretty clear path in the some things lean more towards special.
I like tier 2. It still annoys me. It's like I wish I could have even more special ammo, but I like the fact that it's actually 2 different ammo upgrades, which is pretty interesting.
But
I don't need this ever. I don't want that. I want something else. Maybe increase the damage of the special bolts too.
Does that do anything? Like, does that reach a new breakpoint? Could you then one-shot grunt guards or something?
I think you probably can in the face.
Right. I guess that's what that's for.
Yeah.
But even then, that's not that useful compared to the other 2.
No, sir.
Yeah, tier 3 is like whatever, right? I mean,
tier 3 is interesting. I tend to think it's better to get around this, as in get used to how it is normally, because this is actually very useful, especially with builds where you pair the bolts. Because ammo swap time is actually a thing that's important, and that's what it's for, really. So that's good. That's good for that. That doesn't mean that's good, by the way.
Yeah,
don't get it twisted.
So that is, I think that is the biggest reason why it might not be S is because of that. It has a bad overclock, which I guess only the other Thunderhead could probably that be said for.
What?
Like the other S tiers, like a bad overclock. Like
what if there's Carpet Bomber? Which is
exactly, that's what I'm saying. Thunderhead is like maybe one of the only other ones because I don't think the Sludge Pump really has one, to be honest with you.
I mean, Sludge Blast sort of annoys me.
Sludge Blast is fine, to be honest with you. It is not bad.
I know.
And then obviously work through the wave cooker.
Tier 4. I like tier 4 actually because Battle Frenzy actually does make just killing things with the standard bolts a bit better even. Well, that does feel good, and I obviously wish I had less standard bolts though, for more special bolts. This still feels pretty good. It's a good use of Battle Frenzy because it's pretty hard for it to not happen. Like the GK2, you actually have to kill the thing. It requires more attention, I suppose, in the sense that if you want to get Battle Frenzy from the Bolt Shark, you just pick a target and it will go down immediately, and then you get Battle Frenzy. But Radio Transmitter module, however, is pretty cool.
Yeah, well, that's the issue, though, really, isn't it, though? Because both of those are primarily only used when you're using, like, obviously not, but like both of them lean more towards a normal shot build, right? But you can't pick both for a normal shot build, and it's like, I don't know, it's a bit weird, it's a bit annoying.
Like, the thing is, I actually miss quite often the Bolt Shark.
Yeah, I imagine. I miss a lot. Exactly, but that's what I mean. Like, you could pick Battle Frenzy and you would actually like gain something, but like you kind of can't because you're likely to miss. But then it's like the opposite as well. If you're not using main normal crossbows, whatever, and there's no point in having this, right? It's a completely useless upgrade because so often are you not able to pick up your bolts, right? So it's I don't know. It's a bit of a naff here. It's not the best.
Yes.
Yeah.
Woo! What?
Tier 5 picks up though, but also they're not really.
I think tier 5's decent. Post search box. This is a great upgrade in general. I like this. I like this one a lot. As in, it's always a good pick.
Yeah.
It's not always the exact thing you need to like make a build work, but it's always a good pick. That's why I respect that. Well done, special bolts. Potion special bolts. It's like I guess it is the equivalent of that for special bolts because that's what you want. Is more of the effect.
Well, it's with the ammo, right? You know, special bolt ammo, special bolt duration. Therefore, your special bolt is
It's just
fucking
about that's in tier
dripping.
5 instead of tier 2. But you
Right.
can't put 4 upgrades in tier 2. You can't put 4 upgrades anywhere, I should say.
Yeah.
Um,
And then what are the other ones? Like,
is,
oh, that's actually alright.
It's a good, like, elemental bonus mod, actually. It's pretty interesting. It's very specific to the crossbow, because obviously it doesn't deal damage in an area, but it still deals area damage.
Yeah.
It does both normal damage or direct damage and area damage, and this makes it deal more of both. I did think it was 33%, like most of these are, like it's for the stubby and the blue corpse. But it works because it applies to both damage components, and it's also interesting because it's the bolts just home in on electrocuted enemies.
Yeah.
Pretty cool, and it isn't just a gimmick; it is fairly useful, especially with Trifork volley. Mainly Trifork volley, I should say, but still.
It's the only thing I use it for.
People use it with bodkin points,
I could see that.
which makes a lot of sense. I think it allows you to actually
I think
kill.
it depends what you
It allows
want,
you to
really.
kill grunts in one. I think mainly meant to use it with the IFG, so because otherwise, if you have a form of execution, will just kill grunts. But you use it with IFG, so you can one-shot them.
Don't forget the boomerang.
You can one-shot them with bodkin points. Yeah, but no, but you wouldn't need the bonus to one-shot them after they've been hit by the boomerang, though.
Yeah.
The point is, if they're in an IFG... Actually, if they're in an IFG, they'll go down anyway. You don't actually need this for bodkin points, so get out of here, loser.
Yeah.
Banshee module is pretty interesting. Banshee module is interesting because when it first came out, it was really weird and broken. Not intentionally, but it almost felt intentional. The fact that it could literally fear anything. It was like the shield, like the shield generator. It pushed the presses away. Do you remember?
No, I never saw that.
Presses away and dreadnoughts.
And you could pick it up after as well, right?
Yep, obviously you still can.
Yeah.
Banshee module is weird. It isn't like... It's pretty overpowered, like, inherently, because you can pick the bolts up, right? But it's not actually that strong.
Yeah.
But it's still pretty
It's more
good.
of a weird utility thing.
It's pretty weird, but it's not the backbone of any build at all.
I think it's that's the sort of thing. I mean, just looking at, like, thinking about, like, most of the mods, and then even, like, you know, the little bit of overclocks we saw with the fucking, like, faster reload, whatever that one was. It makes me feel like, you know, maybe the bolt shock isn't all that. But then, obviously, we've been ignoring the bolt shock. I would argue the actual fucking point of the weapon being the special bolts in combination with the overclocks, really. And I think that's where this thing comes alive and starts mauling your fucking kids or something.
What? Huh?
I know, but it is.
Why is it mauling my kids?
Before it's like combinations, a specialist is if you don't mind having normal shots, or you just really like one of the special ones. Which for me, my specialist build is just explode on death thing.
Yep, same. But still, see, this is the This is where my big problems come in.
I then have that one. Yeah.
You still have, even if you take all the special ammo you can, you still have more standard bolts.
Yeah,
and I don't want them. I don't want them. I want more of these.
I then just I know, but I just use those standard bolts to just pepper the horde of the enemies with that on them. Like, I inflict it, switch to a normal shot, and shoot them in the front of the fucking head.
That is the right way to do it. If there was some kind of if magnetic shaft was actually, I guess it would be overpowered. But if it was reworked to apply to all 3 of the effects, where you could just use it with any of them,
that would be a pretty solid
it
one.
would make sense, right?
Like, enemies afflicted with a special bolt receive, like, what, 30% more damage? Is that what the electric one is? And is, like, locked onto?
It's really the homing thing, because that means it will just go straight towards the enemy that you hit with this.
You could also make it make a lot more sense in that it's just homing on to the last arrow,
Yes.
like the other arrow,
Yes.
which is
Exactly.
pretty funky.
But I think it would work really well with this more than anything else.
That would work really well with that.
Yeah. So it's actually a good build, but that's mainly what it's specialist for. Also, I guess probably taser bolts too, because you can get 21 of them. You can get more taser bolts than standard bolts. But that's only because you need 2 taser bolts to make them do everything.
And obviously, if you really like pheromones and then you just want that at all, like you don't care what you do with pheromones, you just like having as many pheromones as possible.
You get 15.8 of them.
15.8?
Yeah, apparently.
That's a bit weird.
Same with the chemical explosion. That's actually 16. You get 16 if you take that. Same with that one, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So we
that's the
see
longest
it
effect duration as well. You can get 23.7 seconds. Good lord.
Yeah.
I mean,
and with chemical rounds, that's a good amount of damage and a very good amount of time that you can kill an enemy within. You
think about it. Explosive chemical bolts. It's actually they're awesome. These things.
They are, and I use pheromone grenades.
They are literally the bomb because
I use pheromone grenades with that as well. So I light a couple of them, put them all together with pheromones, and then they'll start detonating themselves.
It's like the longest duration as well of any of the effects, and it also comes with like the damage over time. If you completely spec into the special bolts, that's like 237 damage over time.
Yeah. And it was like,
guard, but then you also get the explosion, which is 140, which will kill slashers and anything like in that range.
Yeah,
and it stuns and fears. The explosion stuns and fears as well.
Yeah, it's fucking rad. And the only issue with it, and it's not an issue with it at all, it's just that when I first used it, I was like, damn, finally an AoE option for Scout. Thanks, Crossbow. And then time passed, and then it's not the only AoE option, at least on the Crossbow now, is it? It's not. Yeah, it's the Crossbow has alternatives, which. Yeah. I mean, right, let's get this out of the way. Cryo bolts, while not bad, not inherently good either.
I like cryo bolts. I like cryo bolts a lot, actually. I'm going to be honest. I'm starting to like them even more as well. They're very good.
They're cryo, right? Anything that inflicts cryo is inherently good, and it might not be the best way of inflicting cryo, but it ain't a bad one. So that's just inherently good. But I'm not sure if it really pairs with anything else particularly well, though, does it really? Other than your primary, right?
Yeah, but I think I like that, almost. I use opportune particle accelerator with it. Do all damage on the track, and that feels really good.
I can imagine, yeah. Blitz of Mercy as well, always a thing.
It's also like, it's just very reliable. It's just like, Praetorian, 2 cryobolts. Warden, 1 cryobolt. Like, I know sort of these things. Presser, 2 cryobolts and a grenade. And I use it with chemical explosions as well, which don't put this on frozen enemies. Doesn't work. You need to know that. Yeah. But I use them separately in the same build.
Does pheromones work? If you freeze an enemy and then pheromone them, will that enemy's attack get damage boosted?
Well, they'll be frozen though.
No, but the enemy's attacking the pheromone target that's frozen.
Oh. Yes.
But also, actually, they would then get frozen as well, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but it's not the same as the firebolt, so because it's relying on the cryobolt to do the freezing. Yeah. There's no cold radiance.
Which I think is a thing to clarify, because obviously next would be firebolts. That's the difference between cryo and fire. Is fire has an area around it that spreads fire, but then the enemies also spread fire, so it spreads really quickly. Meanwhile, the cryo is only ever the arrow, right? That's kind of how.
There's no better match made in heaven than firebolts and pheromone bolts.
Yeah.
Genuinely. And I mean, first of all, I respect. Obviously, it applies to literally all 4 of these, but I like firebolts and cryobolts because. Well, in my opinion, the cleans are a bit dubious to me because I think the whole point of the Bolt Shark's overclocks is because the standard bolts are also meant to be special bolts. In that, how it should be presented is ammo like A and ammo B, or Bolt 1 and Bolt 2. They're not inherently. They're only special bolts until you get to the overclocks.
And then they're all special, so no one is.
Firebolts are awesome. They're amazing, but they're actually probably more limited than I once realised. You know, they're not. They sort of become a little bit worse on co-op, even though there's more enemies. just because people kill things, particularly your your hosts, your fire spreaders,
Yeah, well,
and also
yeah.
there's not a lot they can be used against. Even though it's fire, they're not good against the robots. Obviously, not good against rockpox, and also don't do anything against bosses.
I feel like this is a weird time to start bringing that up, though, right? Like that is applied to a lot of things we've talked about today. How ineffective they are against those types of things. Like if we wanted to use those arguments, we could have dismantled a lot of the wave cooker.
But that's the thing.
Just...
I don't know if I agree with that. But only in part. No, you're right. You're right. Actually, you're right. Oh.
Like yeah, the firebolts, let's be realistic, they're the best thing you can do. Firebolt pheromones is the best thing you can do with the crossbow. Like
it's the thing that
just
is the best
kind of factually.
Special. It's the thing that's best at its function.
Yeah,
but it's very specialized.
And it's the best at both worlds, really. I mean, those two together work immaculately. But like, even if your firebolts aren't going 100% well, having pheromones is good, right? A teammate with pheromones is always a good thing. And firebolts, it still isn't bad. It's just that those two things are realistically the best thing you can do with it. Generally, right? Like just generally, if you just throw this on like a brand new scout, he's still probably going to do quite good with them, just by shooting them.
They might not understand firebolts because firebolts aren't even that easy to understand.
Yeah.
They're very. This build is good, but it's very specialized.
I guess. It's not.
Well, no, there's not a lot you can use it for. It's just very good at what it does.
It does being killing a lot of things.
As a scout, having actually one of the most efficient forms of wave clear.
Yeah.
In the game.
Which is something.
It is something. It is definitely something. But if you want more simple wave clear, you turn your attention to the bodkin.
Which I like that word, bodkin.
Nice word, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a pretty solid word. I
solid
have
dude.
no opinions towards bodkin points. I've used it. I found it fun, and that's about it.
Yeah, bodkin points is pretty decent. I prefer it. I prefer bodkin points to normal bolts, how they normally work. Combining bodkin points and explosive chemical bolts feels pretty decent. It's also because they don't necessarily rely on each other, as like fire bolts and pheromone bolts. You can take something like bodkin, and that's when you would also use tasers if you want as yours for something else. Taser bolts are weird, actually. We didn't really talk about those on their own.
Yeah, I think it's a little advice. If you use them as poles to make fences, not the best idea. Obviously,
It can be pretty funny. If you stack
sometimes.
them up, they end up doing a ridiculous amount of damage, but they actually, the area you can cover is always a bit. They don't cover the area that they look like they do. Really, they're not as consistent as they look.
Yeah. Plus, the most important thing about them, and this is just kind of a fact, is that they can apply electricity to enemies that can't be electrocuted. Right?
Yep.
That's really the thing. And then tied with the deal more damage to electric enemies that the Bolt Shark has itself, then results in you being able to do some damage, and also at least slow them down, right?
Oh.
Which. Yeah, just gonna slap that on there, and then just gonna slap on that tier 5 mod and taser bolts, obviously. But you don't even need taser bolts. That's the thing. You don't need taser bolts because your primaries each have a way of dealing electricity.
That's true. But I disagree because this is for those things that can't be electrocuted.
Yeah, obviously
things. This is for oppressors. This is for bosses. And patrol bots. Actually, they can be executed normally. I'm
just saying you don't technically. You're not held at gunpoint to use taser bolts.
But it's still the best thing to use with it.
It is a good idea. Yeah.
Trifle bot is pretty solid.
It does a fat fucking chunk of damage.
It does annoy me slightly in that I don't know if it earns actually reducing the damage of the bolts. It's weird. It's so many things where it's like it increases your ammo, but you have less shots overall. it decreases your damage, but you have more damage per shot. It's like something's wrong here. It's like it's overcomplicated in a way that isn't actually overcomplicated. It's not the way it works isn't overcomplicated, but what it says is overcomplicated. It would make more sense if it was easier to explain, if it was just stronger bolts and you have less of them. But obviously, I think it always makes more sense that you get more damage by just firing more bolts at once. So I guess that makes sense in a way. But yeah, I think Tri-Foot Volley does kind of rely on magnetic shafts a bit though, because missing them was bad.
That's not inherently bad though. But it is a fact that Tri-Foot Volley, I can safely assume, going off by, times I've used it, Tri-Foot Volley and, conductive, whatever the fuck that is the best single target damage build for the Bolt Shark, right?
The Bolt Shark, yeah. I mean, I'm going to be honest, it doesn't impress me all that often. It's actually better against bosses than anything else. Like, genuinely, it feels like it doesn't actually do an impressive amount of damage to Praetorians, You can take down a Praetorian with one magazine of embedded detonators, but this will do like half, but just below half its health. Like, you won't do half its health with the Tri-Foot Volley, even with magnetic shafts.
It is the worst at single target damage. I think the Bolt Shark, to like bigger targets, it's like the slowest at doing single target damage. Single target burst, single target, whatever. You get the point, right? Like, I think the Jumbo Shells Boomstick and Embedded Detonators Zukos are preferable.
You also do have more of it. Like, I think Tri-Foot Volley might be slightly overrated, to be honest.
I think it's about as rated as it is. I don't hear people screaming off the rooftops. It's the best single target damage that the Bolt Shark has, but I don't think the Bolt Shark is inherently good at single target damage. At least,
and that's why I prefer using something like this general. It's actually very good generalist thing, because you have a lot of explosions, and this is good against bosses too.
And do you mean that with tier 5 mod you haven't changed, or do you actually mean that?
Well, yeah, you take that.
Yeah, but like, it's funny considering you said generalist. Yeah, it's called the specialist. So.
Well, I do think this is the best generalist build for the Bolt Shark, though.
Yeah, no, I that's my favorite build for it. Not even for any good reason. I don't know. I just like it. Not that I actually really like shooting the normal shots. It's just a consequence I have to pay for to have better and more exploding ones. But yeah, I'll be honest with you. As you audience listening, and Harry, you being here, I started this thinking S tier, and I thought this a while ago. But I'm going to be honest with you, going through them, I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure. About S.
No. It's the Bolt Shark. It does a lot, but it has also some very annoying restrictions, like things that you wish you could do with it that you can't. And I don't feel that with the Wave Cooker as much. Like, I wish I could turn all my standard bolts into special bolts. I wish it actually had an overclock that did the other thing. I wish I could have even more standard bolts, and I could just like laser every grunt or bacteria that I see.
I wish all of its like overclocks that did anything didn't cancel out being able to pick up the bolts, turning it into a feature that you could only use like one time. Like,
actually, that's not. It's Bodkin Points doesn't take that away.
Does it?
No, they changed that a while ago. It did at first, but and Cryo Bolt. Well, no, sorry, not Cryo Bolts. Taser Bolts also aren't retrievable, but the other two are, which is already kind of annoying. But
if you miss, right? Obviously.
Yeah, Taser Bolts are weird too. Like,
Taser Bolts aren't the best they can be, which I think is another a notch we have to take it down. While they do that, that's clearly not what they wanted them to do, right? They wanted them to be taser bolts, but they're really not that. They're like electrifying.
Like 30 of them base to be like really worth using.
Or just the beams that they make actually be better.
Or that.
Really.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Did you come up with that?
I don't know, it's pretty wild. But I think the fact that we have improvements, right? I think the fact that we just had to come up with some improvements to be had and some things it doesn't quite come up to. I mean, I think it's a high A. Not that we represent it visually, but it is a very versatile weapon, and it's a very good one.
Where is it? There.
It's an A, which is yeah. That's all of our weapons. Tiered and tiered, remakered.
Tiered.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I want to propose something, I want an unstable with a bolt shark. It's just called like, I don't know, fucking bolt converter or something, and it just turns all your standard bolts into special bolts. Or it would add a mechanic where you could do that in game if you want to. Something.
I propose a alternate.
But it would take away like the damage. Like, you know, the special bolts all have like the direct damage attached to them. That's something you would like knock off. I think it's a penalty.
I would also posit a unstable, where it takes away all of your special bolts and turns them into normal ones,
Yes.
Doubles your normal ones, and makes it automatically fired, and turns it into a repeater crossbow, and that's our Overclock Workshop, everyone. Thank you all for watching. This is a tier list that I think I'm generally proud of. I'll be honest, this last one, I'm so happy how positive this last one was. I always kind of knew it, but they fucking nailed the Gen 3 secondaries, right? They fucking nailed it. They're amazing. And I mean, same kind of thing for the primaries, but like secondaries, God, diggity dog, man. Like, Jesus.
Gen 3 was pretty good for Driller. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you got that there. Yeah. But no, yeah, I don't know. It's just, it was good. If you
include the reworked GK2 as like a Gen 3 thing, Gen 3 was very good for Scout as well.
Yeah.
Because we got the Drak and the Bolt Shark in A. Yeah, boy.
Yeah. We will be covering we'll be just settling everything in a video that will be coming out after this one. But for us, we'll be recording it next week, because this one was recorded a week earlier secretly, because we just really wanted to talk about them after the last video.
Well, it's only because it literally was too short.
It was also
for
very
us.
quick. Well, yeah, it felt like we recorded a video. Yeah, like it's like, what is this? Only an hour? What the fuck? We're taking a break.
That's not like us.
Yeah, so we had to get in another one, and this one I'm sure has been plenty, right? The fucking Wave Cooker and Bolt Shark, probably half an hour each, I imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so next week, fresh eyes on this tier list. We're gonna truly see if we can settle on it, but I can only imagine this is very likely what it will end up being.
I know, but obviously that remains to be seen.
Yeah, and
at
I think
the same time, we definitely need to avoid trying to change it.
Yeah, but I think that this might be something. We could maybe posit this to the Reddit, so then the next video we would have some different perspectives to help us kind of adjust if we feel. Because there are probably some parts of these things that we're just forgetting about or not really thinking about, and that if brought to light will change our opinions. But as it stands, I am mighty happy with.
You know what? I'm surprised how happy I am with the Wave Cooker being in it.
Yeah, it's just I don't know.
It's only secondary. It's like, because it's so many things in one.
Yeah,
and it doesn't really do any of them badly.
I think that's it. It's the thing. Once we realised, because we were always like, because it wasn't there last time, obviously, but it's because we always kind of saw it as temperature shock or sludge pump, like neurotoxin combo, and that's it. That's all it says. But
yeah, I genuinely think the only thing the Wave Cooker needs is how listening necrosis is applied to be changed. That's like the only thing that needs to change
it's
about
just a bit
it.
Annoying.
I think the Bolt Shark has more things that it tries to do that it could be better at.
Yeah,
but
Bolt Shark
Wave
has
good at everything it
shit
tries to
done
do.
it. Bolt Shark was, you could tell they really tried with the Wave Cooker and Bolt Shark. They did a lot of interesting things with them. They tried with the Shark Diffractor, but it got fucking slapped down by the community. And the Coil gun, I would argue, is I don't know.
The Coil gun's still pretty interesting for Gunner.
For Gunner, yeah, but I mean, you could definitely tell how, I mean, it's just not compared to the other ones, really, is it? It's just it's not getting any interesting mechanics. There isn't a whole line of mods based on interesting mechanics, like I don't know. But yeah, that's only really the thing you can compare the Gen 3s with, because if we try and compare them with the previous ones in that regard, then they fall apart because of how simple they were back then. But yeah, I am heavily proud of this. I think as long as Sabatas in D, I think we're looking good anyway. But honestly, A is such a fucking solid thing for me.
I'm really happy that there's more A's than most populated.
Yeah,
I think that's good. That's good, right? That's how it should be. Everything should be an A. Everything below A should be an A.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty difficult. I don't think there's any universe where everything ends up in S. It's not possible.
S is just by pure chance they fucking nailed it. I think that's really the S.
I think you can still nail it though and not be an S.
Sure, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just I don't know.
I think the GK2 and the Dead Storm are arguably perfect assault rifles and miniguns.
Once again, though, yeah. I mean, I remember that's
arguably a perfect revolver, and the Warhog's arguably a perfect shotgun.
The GK2, I do think was competing for S.
Yeah,
I remember that was going to be
arguably a perfect plasma rifle. No, EPC's a fantastic plasma pistol. Shard Diffractor's a fantastic. The Bolt Shark goes beyond what a crossbow should be, certainly.
I know, but my point isn't just that how well it is what it is how well each of the mods are. Like, if there is literally, you cannot criticize a mod or an overclock. Like, at that point, you're sitting pretty, right? Which I would say, for the Wave Cooker or the Sludge Pump, you're basically on that level. I think the Thunderhead is the thing I'm fighting off thoughts a little bit.
Well, don't, because it
just is ST.
Yeah, just keep a lid on it, son. It's the most powerful weapon.
Yeah. It's ammo efficient, area damage, and direct damage.
Anyway, this is a discussion for that next video.
Yes. No. Let's wrap this up.
Yeah. Well, I suppose if you enjoyed this, do those things, like, subscribe, ring my bell. But obviously, we do want to hear thoughts on this. That can include the YouTube comment section, although Reddit will interact with it differently. They'll interact regardless of the video, so we'll see where that goes. But either way, this was a fucking Rick-rolling the rollicking good fucking time, baby. This is a good. This is the best tier list. Thank you for watching. Big kiss from me. Big kiss from Tyler. No, a small kiss. I have a small mouth. Okay. Either way, we'll see you on Monday. All right. That's a threat to me. That's a threat. All right. Well, yeah, we'll definitely will. We're releasing the Rombo cut that day. Hopefully, what? That's my goal. I want it to be on a Sunday. It's a bit much, I think. I think we're doing it all on Monday, unless you start sending me them today. Right. So I can start piecing it together. Yeah, but I've got to hope I haven't. Deleted any of them. Yeah. Well, no, there's a chance that I have. Obviously, they exist on YouTube, so I've got that back up. I'd have to download it. Well, no, I have deleted some recordings, but I wouldn't have deleted any recent ones on purpose. Yeah. Make some space. I'm sure we'll be fine. If I have, I'll screen record the YouTube videos for you. I'll have to. I'd have to do that, really. Unless they can download YouTube videos. I don't know if you can download your own videos. You should probably be able to, right? You should. You hopefully should. But yeah, that is us. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you
when we see you. Which actually, technically, after this video, we'll be seeing you later today because we're releasing.
Whoa! Yeah, I shouldn't have said we'll see you on Monday. I mean, we might do that Monday, but this is a different Monday.
See,
different
this
Saturday.
is what I was so thrown off pre-recording videos. I don't know how other channels do it, man. Like it's so wild that people can like have.
I mean, the best way for us to have done it is if we just recorded on the days, but a week in advance.
Yeah.
See, we can't do that because a lot of our stuff is meant to be contemporary with what's currently happening in DRG.
We're putting finger on the pulse, and we can do that.
I'm sure we come across that way. You know, extremely witty. We're always on the ball.
Yeah. We're extraordinarily cultured men.
But yeah, I mean that's the thing though. So you said we should put this tier list out on the Reddit, but we would be doing it a week early from when people would see it on YouTube. But
I mean, it might be a spoiler for some people, sure, but we do need a week of it gathering.
I absolutely agree. So we'll do that. All right.
So
that's it.
If you're on the Reddit, you've probably have already seen the results. So good on you. If you see it, but if you haven't, then it's too late. It's already been out on the Reddit for a week. So loser.
Put the alto point and I'm dancing.
It is weird pre-recording videos.
All right, okay, we are done here though. Thanks, guys. Yeah. See you later.